Ebusia mekai say last year 4th November bedru ama NPP for ato omo presidential election abra na yewura Dr. Mahmoud Baumia Honorable Kennedy Ohene Ejapon ene womo a contest ye ni na eyo omo campaign ahodo no asem ba kwa yewura Kennedy Ohene Japon kan ye ene say so no Ghana fo ehu ne mobo no moto aba ede man no obeye omanpani ede ma oman konkron Ghana se ubeye politician anasa oba se obeba be join party bi anasa whichever way so person will contest ade ba kwa ono Kennedy Ohene Japan be make sure so obeye ne se ube declare wajapade a wo e de a kire oman no anasa ono akasa Kennedy Ohene Japan no o term of office no nso edru na se wo serve oman no nso a adwuma obeye anase sika ede betua aka no nso ye behwehwe wa account mu pepepe se de be ya corruption eto betwa e wo man konkron Ghana mu na no e na opani a ne din ede Farouk Wahab edna no abetum se corruption no enye NDC ena enye NPP ena beboa ama corruption eto atwa e wo man konkron Ghana mu but it started right after say obroni na odi oman Ghana so handi over power edema Ghana for I mean time ye gaining and I say ye nya independence ede je ye ho efri abrofo ni nsem pe na corruption start ye na no ena opani no ni kasa mu no opese o kire say the only way ubetumi ede abre corruption ase anasa obetumi approve to corruption ewo oman konkron Ghana mu no jail nkwa enye enough se opani bi ebenya power na se before benya power no car ba ko edan ba ko na owo na after power we benya cars be 5 we sit down ebi wo Kumase ebi wo Accra ebi wo Takrade and many more ono ohun se mu ye nhwehwemu ehun se oman ni sika e na ode enrich ne ho a jail nkwa enye enough ebusia sha ne so se aha possible multimedia me amedi media ho chia me medin e de Francis Achu aka possible indi kwan so aha no mama ya we se anytime any day bibi ebesi e oman konkron Ghana mu no ope mu nchemu ene no kre na entwa weni enhwe bebia age possible multimedia yewura Farouk Wahab e kan sen bebre na asamba akwa okan ya mesre ene se leader bi ebenya position na so bewia oman ni sika after say we win election na oye ni Thanksgiving celebration okwa sorry dem na so wosa mo hwe nasa ebetumi amwehu say we kakra wa bono obefa ho awia oman ni sika no e de aye ne ho yie e de aboa na busuafo e de aye nioma e beboa ono akasa na emom ni we be fi say amanfo bi anase nipa bi ena to aba ede man se womra na wombedi omanim kan no mfa mo afie but onya position na enibre ne arefrenti na ono nko na enjoy ebusia nsema e course about corruption edos yenkotie opani a ne din ede Farouk Wahab ne nsema o kan de fa corruption ho na ewia na ye feel free na acha adon comment section no ase na akopon insha ye nyina tichu ne wo mo a de bia ye post video amojebre ehwe na mo ba anytime any day be post video moba ebehwe na movie na mo asa comment nyakopon insha yin na
corruption will deal with Ghana and then the Ghana's corruption or corruptible practices or a resemblance, call it a twin resemblance of that of African. So you would say African corruption as I said, but there are some few countries in Africa that have also done very well in terms of corruption how they worked on it. Yeah, say every bank you made a back or refer from 79. No. Ghana corruption it talked about right after our independence. And he said if you roll back right after independence now Bruni I hand over. Bruni I hand over at the Amaye. But in going into our elections, and answer right after independence, we started speaking about corruption way back in the 50s 1960s, and we started what is called stimulation of the subject, because that time no, na ye they started amassing wealth illegally. Corruption, to me, simplified, a breakdown of discipline. Not only in the public office, not only in the civil service, or not only, we have even corruption in our homes, in our churches, in our mosque. But whenever we be mentioning corruption, you and I are thinking, or we focus on corruption, government, public officials, governors, executive, and most especially
politicians,
departments, agency heads. Now, so far all the parties are Abedi Ghana, so from independence till today, call it the CPP, call it the PFP, YG Abanso, but PNP, Dr. Leliman. Now become NDC with MPP, that is of our time. Obia manifesto, the biggest agenda was corruption. President Rawlings spoke about probity and accountability, social justice. When he added the three together, President Rawlings was not mentioning corruption, but he was mentioning probity, accountability. The two of them gives you corruption. Social justice also is the same thing. Lack of social justice is also corruptible practices. Every day is how it works. On a normal basis of looking at what is corruptible practice and not corruption, one would say, your government official be, your the budget be a man, onkoto adie, and answer on your contract be my state. Obey your contract, you say, was 10% a media. 10% obey a very recognized, acceptable norm. All the parties in Ghana from post-independence, Omajia to say, see the contract prefer. As a free for the 10%, Emia the Koto party votes.
Yeah, the finance party.
Yeah, the finance party. That is the beginning. That is where the whole thing originates from. Because it has become a permanent accepted notion, statutory, accepted norm, a practice norm, constantly featured norm. How do you control or official appointing or a department head? He's part of the party. He knows the contract we gave to a FIFA and Co. And the FIFA and Co brought 10%, which was channeled into the party coffers. Autonomy. Now, acquire parliamentarian. You sell your house just to serve in a parliament.
We heard some judge saying that.
So if you sell your house and then go into politics, convince me why that the love for me, the love for your community, the love for services to the country. A day the Bama waja padia wabre udu si Kenya. Now also ton now the quiet primaries, which is called the biggest gamble of all gambling games. One when what do you do? One no you know mabedahi. But not only Sam George, it has existed over and over. People went bank, collected loan from government banks, commercial banks, ADB, with collateral or with their name. Sometimes no collateral, sometimes with their big stomach, your mom loan or the real politics in Okoshi Keniguye. So if the first year, every one year, the second time of 1 year, he is already indebted to people. It is an accepted norm. Say office now work on crown. Okuwiade. Again, say government official be. I'm talking about the political hierarchy. Parliamentarian. Winning election. Now she jubilation. As I was sa. I was sorry them kwahwe nkwa tu so kuwieska. I'm telling you. okasa osa jubilating on platform say we win election constituency no wo hwe na asa kwatum so ko wieska. I'm telling you honestly, because selfless services and our due so you have told me, convince you and I say only the Obano ome wieska and I'm boy Obano yenimisa ne kai VW nadam fu bia nsi fiaman nadam fu bia mfa ne bank or college or abroad 1 year in office nadam fu de ne ma 3 ene tua ne school fees 1 year in office the VW obi a channel Land Cruiser unidentified personality and we do not know the fellow. The church member be actually fee. And this country, I'm not talking about Africa today. We accept Yakaso Omunyeden, Omnia declaration. Papa, why ni actually in excess of asset declaration after the serving?
Yeah, Rembo.
But what I say?
Happy FM.
For no to change. Corruption. Set a free for a pay school. Na misumi pay school. Na ye determine which school easy for FIFA to get. Regardless say na aggregating ye as against mine. Or mine weaker a FIFA stronger. Na betima penetrate. Into him. Corruption, I mean bibi. President Kufuor said since the time of Adam. Rollins said, President Rollins said, probity, accountability, social justice. President Mills will say, corruption is with us. And you make sure, so by fight, you will not give corruption chance in his government. Zero tolerance to corruption. Okay.
Happy FM.
Then a presidential candidate, whoever wants to enrich himself
should get into private,
should go into the private sector, and that corruption not my time. Now not do baumia, not our time. It should the consistency and the build-up of all our presidential, including the speech of President Hillary Liman, including the speech of the military leaders, a Champon, a Kufo, President Rollins, all of them, a FIFA, your namesake, listen to them, Kotoka, all of them, listen to their speeches if corruption was not mentioned in their government as the main subject that they were dealing with.
The NTA too cry because of corruption.
And I'm sure say they have featured all of them consistently, prominently to today. In this house, sorry, never here. Where is that mosque? Where is that church? Now this time, no, Abeya West. It is more of a big social canker, rotten one, bad one. Now affecting gruesomely and a wicked, and nobody knows how and where I bit must stop us again, because there is no attempt by anybody. With all due respect, executive, with all due respect, judiciary, how on earth so we have 270 honorable men now omunyina ko sign contract na country no esa ko tua judgment debt? How on earth so omunyina parliament pass na ko council of state na ko presidency for advice akọ cabinet presidency na nipa nyinara get to this point and later say something was fraudulent with it. Now state. How on earth say you walk even to the extent say your education sector, your employment sector, everywhere. Now corruption kwane say koto we magana 10 cedis now the 20 cedis atoso. Corruption they say sense kan kura na wabedi wo ho no. Se wo di ye adwuma. I like Nigerians for one thing. Nigerian former presidents. Yes, they steal. Yes, they are corrupt. They take money out. But good number of them, Ebia Juma, or your farms, or factories, or industries. Ghana presidents, Obia Nwa, Yehun factory. Ghana president, Bien no free Hasia, Yehun farms. Ghana president, Bien no company. Share Nigeria, Arik. President Goodluck. Is there any Nigerian who doesn't know? Sir Omunanidia. Ben machine here, Jumo Krumo, or come non-stop to America, or South Africa, and Nigeria for rate cheaper. Locally or self. Yes. Obasanjo, the biggest farmer, crocodile farms, maize, rice, poultry. Or semi makwan emfa poultry makum hasi because team supply. Yet the animal dear in our farms. Why cocoa loss? Men am drink for whom only cocoa nibi. Why are laws on tomato, taxes on tomato, or no tomato farms? Why are loss? Air taxes at the Mabo so kind, but on cracker engine. Said this is to take the money free. And I'm not referring only to the presidents. I'm sorry. With all due respect to them, I'm referring to even within our own public and civil servants of high pedigree. Ye claim say, Oma country in Sika. You will never see their company. And they will never open a company. They will buy properties, they will never enjoy it in a foreign country. They will deposit physical cash, they will never be a beneficiary of that cash. They will never build a school. Say my servo, my sorry, na my school. Scanner me via me di bia yi we say na am a crony man enya bia ko out. Majority say. But we keep on saying, say, we are almost. Who is to bring the evidence? Who is to bring the evidence? And where do you take the evidence to?
He who alleges must prove. The last time in the lawyer Nibi Kasayoka said, if possible, when it comes to the area of corruption, Yemran should rather be that he who is alleged to have stolen should prove that he hasn't, because in the first place, minister na yesu wonu na ewies kano. Wonu na nkrata na original na nkasa wonu ho. This one we are ya. On fan krata original na mra na yenhwem. In this case, what catch him say me na me nkrata no sutumi no. Me ko famra, where do I go and bring from?
Baba, they bend them. Even before they leave the public office, they bend the office. They bend them. There are a lot and series of time at Ghana government offices, government properties called buildings, Africa, Yashino, up to today, fire department, Ghana investigators, police, all combined. Yintiminya one single property of Ghana banned. Yetimi investigation about say, where there we know how it happened. It is not. It is only when the law is against the poor. It's only when law is against the weak. It's only when the law is against Obia, the voiceless. That is where Ghana law works. They are all forms of what? Corruptible practices. Student area school. Ebina mekano. Government agency create me fawomu. They will not confirm you today. They will not sack you tomorrow. Obi cry afa no. That team without employment letter for 5 years. Whereas say state in the law crown H3. So it's an offense to engage the service of somebody beyond 6 months without confirming the person. It is a cultural practices. obi the application aba beto ho oba obepa adwuma we inviting the call mamia a corruptible practice